With
Is
the
that Jack
fact that he'd been
Sparrow?
successful.
Relax. Alright, this is about to give me chills.
That sounds horrible, though.
Kind of shocking to hear this. That's actually insane.
And you never do that. You knew that,
No, you didn't either.
Mr. America. Oh, I'm not American.
Yeah. What is up? Welcome back. It's Aaron.
And Petra.
We're a US and European couple discovering the US
Together.
together.
Today, we're watching a video called Star Spangled Banner as you've never heard it. What the hell is that?
Do you know what the Star Spangled Banner?
I know that. That's American
National anthem.
national anthem. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
yes. But apparently this is how we've never heard it. And she even knows the national anthem, funny enough, because I think it's very broadcasted across the world.
Yep.
And America, I think, should be proud of that. America is known as a very nationalistic country.
Mm-hmm.
And so we post videos every single week. So make sure you
like and subscribe.
Now, let's get into
Let's
it.
go. I'm ready.
Oh,
Oh,
Star Spangled Banner as you've never heard it.
that's interesting.
I'm excited.
That ain't it, is it?
That's the
There was a
intro.
lawyer once. His name was Francis Scott Key.
Kaki?
He penned a song that I'm sure you're aware of. You've seen it. It's in
Francis
most
Scott
hymnals
Key.
throughout our churches. It's called the National Anthem. It is
Here we go.
our song as an American. We go, however, to a ball game. We stand in our church services and we sing the words of that song, and they float over our minds and our lips, and we don't even realize what we're singing. Most of us have memorized it as a child, but we've never really thought about what it means. Let me tell you a story.
This is an insane video.
Francis Scott Key was a lawyer in Baltimore.
Lawyer, okay.
The colonies
Okay.
were engaged in vicious conflict with the mother country, Britain.
With the mother country.
Because of this conflict and the protractedness of it, they had accumulated prisoners on both sides. The American colonies had prisoners and the British had prisoners.
Wait, real quick. This seems like a historical recount of the Star Spangled Banner. And I, as an American, literally know nothing about that. So
Really?
I can only imagine this is really cool for you too.
They didn't teach you anything about it?
We did learn about it. I mean, I knew it was Francis Scott Key, but I don't know.
Kaki.
Relax. I didn't know if it was going into this much detail. So this is actually really interesting. Our American friends, do you know this story before it goes any further?
Or anything new? Anything that's not going to be in this video, we want to know more.
Yes.
And the American government initiated a move. They went to the British and they said, let us negotiate for the release of these prisoners.
Okay.
They said, we want to send a man out to discuss this with you. They were holding the American prisoners in boats about 1,000
Whoa.
yards offshore. And they said, we
Okay.
want to send a man by the name of Francis Scott Key. He will come out and negotiate to see if we can make a mutual exchange.
Wow, the lawyer. Okay.
On the appointed day in a rowboat, he went out to this boat and he negotiated with the British officials. And they reached a conclusion that men could be exchanged on a one-for-one basis. Francis Scott Key, jubilant with
Is
the
that
fact
Jack
that he'd been
Sparrow?
successful,
Relax.
I'm
he went
Relax.
down below in the boats, and what he found was a cargo hold full of humanity, men.
Whoa.
And he said, men, I've got news for you tonight. You're free. He said, tonight I have negotiated successfully your return to the colonies. He said, you'll be taken out of this boat, out of this filth, out of your chains.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
As he went back up on board to arrange for their passage to the shore, the admiral came and he said, we have a slight problem. He said, we will still honor our commitment to release these men, but it'll be merely academic after tonight. It won't matter. And Francis Scott Key said, what do you mean? He said, well, Mr. Key, he said, tonight we have laid an ultimatum upon the colonies.
Hold on a second. So Francis Scott Key is on this boat with all these American colony prisoners. He's on a British ship.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically telling them that they're about to attack America or the colonies, and that it's not even going to matter. They're going to destroy the colonies. So I think that's thinking about the Star Spangled Banner. I think that's leading up to what's going to happen here.
Well,
Your people will either capitulate and lay down the colors of that flag that you think so much of, or you
Whoa.
see that fort right over there, Fort Henry? He said, we're going to remove it from the face of the earth.
Whoa.
He said, how are you going to do that? He said, if you will, scan the horizon of the sea. And as he looked, he could see hundreds of little dots. And he said, that's the entire British war fleet. He said all of the
What?
gunpowder, all of
This
the
is
armament is
insane.
being called upon to demolish that fort. It will be here within striking distance in a matter of about 2.5 hours. He said
Oh
the
my
war's
gosh.
over. These men would be free anyway. He said, you can't shell that fort. He said, that's a large fort. He said, it's full of women and children. He says, it's predominantly not a military fort.
It's a turtle.
He said, don't worry about
Relax.
it.
Did you hear that? What he just said about the fort?
Mm-mm.
It's a fort, not military fort, but it's for women and children.
Oh, children, yeah.
It's basically just a safe spot for people during this war. And the British,
It's kind of scary.
He said, we've
Are
left
deciding
them a way
to
out.
attack.
He said, what's that? He said, do you see that flag way up on the rampart? He said, we have told them that if they will lower that flag, the shelling will stop immediately.
whoa.
And we'll know that they've surrendered, and you'll now be under British rule. Francis Scott Key went down below and told the men what was about to happen. And they said,
This
how
is
many
intense.
ships? He said, hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
The ships got closer. Francis Scott Key went back up on top and he said, men, I'll shout down to you what's going on as we watch. As twilight began to fall, and as the haze hung over the ocean as it does at sunset, suddenly the British war fleet unleashed.
Whoa. Okay.
He says the sound
What?
was deafening. There were so many guns that there were
Oh my
no
gosh.
reliefs. He said it was absolutely impossible to talk or hear. He said suddenly the sky, although dark, was suddenly lit. And he says from down below, all he could hear the men, the prisoners, saying was, tell us where the flag is.
Whoa.
What have they done?
All right, this is about to give me chills.
Hold on. So there's no song here. It's just a story about how it did even come to
How
this.
he wrote the song.
What? That sounds horrible, though.
That's how it came about.
And how intense. I like how like the whole story is very intense.
Yeah.
The ways I got chills on my legs right now.
I'm wondering. Well, you got chills.
I do
I
have
love that. I
chills.
love that. I'm wondering, is this a real story? Do you think this is real?
Well, it's very in detail.
Yeah.
Like extremely in detail. I'm sure some details are kind of like,
fabricated. Okay.
yeah.
Well,
But I don't know.
but-
We need to look it up. Actually, no. We need our friends
yes.
to let us know about this story.
Yeah.
If it's real or if it's fake or
It's really
because I've
emotional.
never heard about anything about that, right? So I'm kind of naive right now. If I hear something, I'm like, oh, that's what happened, but it might not be true
Right.
or completely
truth,
like this,
yeah.
right? So if anyone knows like anything about it, we would really appreciate a comment, because we read all the comments, so we can learn more
Yeah, please.
and
That'd
share
be-
with other
that'd be
people, of
amazing.
course.
But let's finish the story.
Let's finish
What have
the
they done
story.
with the flag? Is the flag still flying over the rampart? Tell us.
Wow.
1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into the shelling. Every time the bomb would explode and it would be close to the flag, they could see the flag in the illuminated red glare of that bomb. And
Red
Francis
glare.
Scott Key would report down to the men below, it's still up. It's not down.
What?
The admiral came and he said, your people are insane. He said, what's the matter with them? He said, don't they understand this is an impossible situation? Francis Scott Key said he remembered what George Washington had said. He said the thing that sets the American Christian apart from all other people in the world is he will die on his feet before he'll live on his
Oh, wait.
knees.
Hold on, I gotta hear that
What
again. I accidentally
sets
cut
the
it.
American Christian apart from all other people in the world is he will die on his feet before he'll live on his knees.
That's insane. That's an insane
It was
quote.
scary. Like it kind of sounds like rough.
One thing I'm thinking about now is he said American Christian apart.
Yeah, why did he say that?
I guess because originally America was a really Christian society.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know much about that, to be honest. I know, like, in America in general, there's no official affiliation with religion. So that's pretty interesting to hear, really. That little tidbit's really interesting to us, yeah.
The admiral said, we have now instructed all of the guns to focus on the rampart to take that flag
Whoa.
down. He said, we don't understand something. Our reconnaissance tells us that that flag has been hit directly again and again and again, and yet it's still flying. We don't understand.
Wow.
But he said,
don't
now we're
understand
about
that.
to bring every gun for the next 3 hours to bear on that point.
3
Francis
hours.
Scott Key said the barrage was unmerciful.
Oh,
All that he could
is that
hear
true?
I don't know.
It's horrible.
was the men down below praying.
Whoa.
The prayer. God, keep that flag flying where we last saw it.
This doesn't even seem real. Like I feel like this is like a feel good story. If this is a real story, this would be really
That would be
really
really,
touching, yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
so. This is really kind of shocking to hear this.
Came. He said there was a heavy mist hanging over the land, but the rampart was tall enough. There stood the flag, completely nondescript, in shreds. The flagpole itself was at a crazy angle, but the flag was still at the top.
Wow.
Just holding on.
Francis Scott Key went aboard and immediately went into Fort Henry to see what had happened. And what he'd found had happened was that that flagpole and that flag had suffered repetitious direct hits. And when hit had fallen. But men, fathers, who knew what it meant for that flag to be on the ground.
This is insane. So they're literally defending this flag with their entire life.
Yes, with everything they have.
This means everything to them.
And fight for a long time.
yeah.
What did he say, 3 hours and 2 hours before that, or everything 3
Yeah,
hours?
at least.
I'm not sure.
This is crazy. I mean, I know in the modern times, people just really take, I think every country really takes its flag for, I don't know, they don't take it as seriously. It doesn't mean as much to people as it used to.
Used to it, yeah.
And
Yeah.
clearly, this was everything to them, yeah.
Yeah, and they're fighting because of the flag, right? Like, if you don't take down the flag, we're gonna keep attacking you.
This is insane.
Because of them flag. Look, I got chills right now. I got chills right
Whoa,
now.
chills.
Woo! Let's continue.
This is crazy.
Although knowing that all of the British guns were trained on it, walked over and held it up humanly
Whoa.
until they died. Their bodies were removed and others took their place.
What?
Francis Scott Key said what held that flagpole in place at that unusual angle were patriots' bodies.
No way.
We're what? What are you saying?
I got chills.
What did he say?
Or Patriots' bodies. So basically, the only reason the flag was still standing and that the British ships could see it from a distance is because people kept taking turns holding it up.
Yeah, they removed the bodies and then new people held it.
But they were getting bombed, so they were constantly dying. But they had to hold the flag up.
So they were just holding it and being bombed, and then
And
next
they would
person,
die, next person. Wow.
That is.
And the song.
Oh.
This
"Oh,
is a
say
song.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's
Light's last gleaming.
or the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
Oh my
gave
gosh.
proof through the night that the
That
flag,
the flag
was still there.
Oh, I'm getting chills.
Oh my
I'm full of
god.
chills. Hold on, my legs. I can't lift my leg up, but look.
Look at this
I
arm.
got chills.
Oh
Can
my.
you see that? My legs are. I look like a damn chicken.
That's actually insane.
And you never do that. You knew that,
No, you didn't either.
Mr. America. Oh, I'm not American.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why am I supposed to know that? I know
Yeah.
my own one.
Yeah.
You better. Yeah.
Oh, say, does that Star Spangled Banner yet fly and wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? The debt was demanded. The price, it was paid.
Jeez.
That's what this is about. Oh.
Sing with me.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed
Oh, emotional.
Is it?
She about to cry. She about to cry, y'all.
No, I'm fine. I'm dry.
That's gleaming,
Whose bright stripes
and bright stars through the perilous fight.
Perilous. What is perilous?
For the ramparts we watched
I like that.
were so gallantly streaming,
Gallantly, it's like brave.
and the rockets break through the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night
We're too fast.
that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that Star Spangled Banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Oh my.
Wow.
Oh my.
Oh, say, does that Star Spangled
I genuinely love it. Like, I love this song. I sing this all the time. Like, parts of it, I just like singing. I don't know. It's funny.
Yes, she does.
Yes. I do.
Yes, she does, y'all. I think even knowing the story just makes it so much more special.
Oh yeah, now it's different.
It's just
But I
different.
always like singing it just because I like how it sounds. I just like it. I honestly like it. Even though it's a national anthem, usually you don't really sing national anthem just because.
Just because.
Well, we do. Okay, we're proud that this Mr. is American. Okay, and we sing it all the time. But now that we know the story, it's different
It's so much deeper.
because now I get chills when I listen
gets
to it.
a
I'm
little
like,
fancy.
ooh, yes, America.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Now that we know what happened, if that's approximately true, that's very different view on it now. It's not
Yes.
just like a nice national anthem. It means a lot more because you know how it
It's just deep.
was created.
Yes. The story behind it.
Yes.
So let's finish it up.
Let's finish it up. Let's let it just play now.
o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
The symbols. Oh, that's it. That's it, y'all. That's it, y'all. Oh my gosh.
That's actually crazy. Wow, that was one of my favorite videos so far.
I think
For
learning about that history was, that probably one of my favorites too.
Something special because I never knew that, and he never knew that in 27 years of his life.
Yes.
You know, it's crazy. Like, I would expect Americans to know what the national, when everyone's proud, and you would be like, oh, do you know what it is about? Actually, I don't.
I mean, maybe people do, and I just didn't.
No, it's fair enough. You know, there's no judgment here, but that's why it means so much more because it's something that I feel like we should know,
Yes.
you know, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's good. I like it.
Insane video.
I love the video.
We're going to keep posting these videos.
Oh, yeah.
She's going to keep exploring America, and so am I. I have so much to learn also. I mean, clearly, I don't know as much as I thought I did. So we're learning about the U.S. together. If you want to learn with us, make sure you
Like and
subscribe. And we will see you in the next
one.
Cheers.
Does that Star Spangled Banner yet fly and wave o'er the land of the free?